afternoon, everybody, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us live. This is day 3 of NAP Week, National Activity Providers and Professionals Week 2023 here in the UK. Thank you to everybody who's joined us for the events so far this week. If you've missed any of them, Monday or Tuesday's events, you can catch up on our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. Please do catch up. We've been overwhelmed really by the response so far. Absolutely delighted to see so many people getting involved in NAP Week in one way or another. It was great to talk to our main sponsors, Director David Neffs of the Daily Sparkle on Monday. We talked about all things to do with reminiscence, and yesterday with Dr. Hayley Lewis about avoiding stress and burnout. Took away lots of top tips there from Dr. Lewis yesterday. And I'd really like to thank them both for their contributions and for dedicating their afternoons really to supporting us and to supporting activity providers doing great work every single day. Please, if you're not aware, we are streaming at the moment live on both Facebook and YouTube. Wherever you are, please do tell us, please do say hello, tell us what you're up to this week, what you've been up to. We'd love to hear how you're getting on. There will be a mystery prize winner that we will announce later today. We've got a winner every day this week. Congratulations to yesterday's winner, who was activity provider Elizabeth Wright, who won NAPA membership for her entire care group. So a fantastic prize yesterday. Congratulations to Elizabeth. Will you be today's lucky winner? Tell us what you're up to this week in the chat, and we'll announce that a bit later on. There are lots of ways to get involved with NAP Week this week. You can adopt a Twibbon, so put a NAP Week Twibbon on your social media profile. You can buy a NAPA NAP Week hoodie or T-shirt, or you can download a certificate of recognition for your activity provider. More info on all of those things and every other way that you can get involved on our dedicated NAP Week webpage. Before I invite today's guest to join me, I just need to say a couple of additional thank yous. Thank you very much, first of all, to our disco sponsor, Majestic Air. If you haven't got your tickets yet for the disco on Friday afternoon, please head over to our Eventbrite page and get yourselves booked on. Please get your leg warmers out. We're expecting fantastic outfits on Friday afternoon, all in honour of the 1980s, and we'd love to see as many of you there as possible. We've already sold over 100 tickets, so it's going to be quite a party. I'd also like to thank our supporting partners, Care England, National Care Forum and Scottish Care, for supporting this event and all the events this week, as well as our main sponsors, the Daily Sparkle. All of their contributions and their partnership has been really appreciated, as well as, of course, our guests. Today's guests, Lakeland Dairies and Belong, but also, of course, our guests that will be joining us tomorrow from the States for NAP Week in the States this week too. We also have a range of resources available this week, and we shared some yesterday, a wellbeing journal, and on Monday, the activity planner, as well as our creative communities toolkit. So lots of resources every single day, and there'll be another resource coming, another toolkit coming your way during this session, so do stay with us. Today, I am delighted to be joined by our partners, Lakeland Dairies, and NAPA members Belong. Together, we're going to discuss some of the recent work we've been involved in to support positive practice in care services and this kind of essential relationship between the activity provider and the catering team and the catering managers. So first of all, I'd like to welcome Jean Catanash. Jean is the marketing controller at Lakeland Dairies. There she is. Hello, Jean.
Hi, Hilary. Hi, everyone.
How are you?
Good, thank you. Good. Thank you for inviting me up. I'm delighted to be here on behalf of Lakeland Dairies. As you know, we're an Irish dairy cooperative with a fantastic history of excellence in dairy farming. I head up marketing activation and have worked with the care sector for many years. And I appreciate for many of our audience today, they may be wondering why an Irish dairy co-op is in this forum. Well, as makers of Millac Gold, we have an ambition to support all care settings to deliver great nutritional and enjoyable meal times. And our insights suggest that enabling connections between catering and well teams, as you've mentioned, Hilary, is an effective way to achieve that ambition, improving the well-being of every resident every day. And of course, we're so excited to be working with NAPA, an excellent organisation to partner with, thought leaders in best practice for care settings. And we feel extremely privileged to work with you. And of course, we're delighted to sponsor NAPA's monthly calendar, packed with activity ideas for every day of the year, just an amazing resource. And a heads up to our audience, at the end of this forum, we'll be sharing a fun event where you can start to put into practice some of the hints and tips and best practice that you're going to hear about during this session. And just like to extend a big thank you to Belong for supporting NAPA and Lakeland Dairies to inspire fabulous food-based activities. So looking forward, excuse me, looking forward to it.
Brilliant. Thank you, Jean. And I just want to echo what a delight it is to work with you and your team as well at Lakeland Dairies. We have a long and ever kind of growing relationship, and I'm so proud of that. So thank you, Jean, for everything that you do to support NAPA, but for being here today particularly. It's great to have your involvement. So just to give everybody a bit of background really in terms of today's event. So in the summer of 2022, we launched a national survey. We really wanted to understand what some of the challenges and opportunities were around food-based activity, but particularly when it's led in a collaborative way, between the activity provider and the catering team. And just wanted to pick out some of the kind of key themes really that we were aware of from the survey, that became aware of through the survey. And one of the things I think that we were surprised about in terms of the relationship was that it was probably far more positive than we had realised. People were working really keen to work well together and had some great examples of working together as well, which was fantastic. Activity and care teams want to work together with catering teams, and catering teams want to work together with activity providers. And I think that's a great starting point, isn't it? That's what we wanted to hear, and we were delighted that came through in the survey. One of the other things that came through, again, which is really exciting, is that activity providers and catering teams are meeting regularly. They see the value in getting together, planning what they want to do, thinking about, making sure that their food-based activity program is inclusive and really meeting individual needs, and that they really, really enjoy celebrating. So it's the parties and the celebrations that seem to be the most popular activities, but they're really working towards supporting people perhaps with more complex care and support needs who aren't able to take part in some of those bigger parties and events as well. And perhaps we can touch on that a little bit more later when we talk to our members Belong. And the third thing, which again I think we were delighted to hear, because it led us on to do some really lovely and interesting work, was that activity providers and catering teams wanted more information, more resources, more support, more advice, top tips about how they could work better together. And again, that's a really appreciative place to start. We want to understand each other's roles. We want to kind of work better together, all to, of course, meet the needs of our individual residents and the people that we support. So following this consultation, kind of made sense of the data, and we came back together as a group, and we decided that the best way to pull together top tips and resources, information and advice would be in a toolkit. And we floated that idea with our activity advisory group, and they gave us a bit of a steer on that, some of the things to leave out and some of the things to put in, which is really, really important. And they were very clear with us that it's really helpful to have case examples. And so Natalie, our wellbeing support manager, she had some more conversations with our members about good practice examples. So today I'm really, really pleased to be able to hear a bit more about some of these good practice examples, this time from Belong. Belong are a NAPA member, an organisation that support people, older people living with dementia, in a range of different care settings. And Natalie and Charlotte and Nelco are going to join us now and just tell us a little bit more about their relationship and why they think it works so well. So hello, welcome. I'm going to leave you to it for a few minutes and I'll be back in a bit. Thank you very much.
Hello, everybody.
Good afternoon. Welcome. Hello, everyone. Hi, Nelco. Hi, Charlotte. Thank you for that introduction, Hilary. And it was so interesting to hear about the partnership with Lakeland Dairies this year. Nelco, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Hello, everybody. My name is Nelco Yordanov, and I'm a Bistro Catering Manager for Belong Chester. Just before we go any further, we would like to thank NAPA for inviting us and give us a chance to share our experiences. And also need to mention Lakeland Dairies. Thanks for the good product. It makes our job so much easier. And very well done for the festive tipple advice. Thank you.
Oh, Nelco, that's lovely. Thank you so much. That's lovely to hear, and you're so welcome today. Charlotte, would you like to say who you are and what your role is, please?
Hello, I'm Charlotte Parton and I'm the Experience Day Coordinator for Belong Chester as well. And I create, facilitate and provide activities for our customers as well as coordinate a day service for those in the community who would also like to join us in our villages.
Fantastic. And again, thank you for being here and sharing how you work together to achieve the best practice and experience for the individuals that you support on a daily basis in the way of nutrition and well-being. So from conversations that we've had via the support line, NAPA's support line service and also the support network, we understand that when catering teams and activity teams work well together, it provides a collaborative approach towards well-being. So how do you think this collaborative approach benefits the individuals that you support? Would one of you like to answer that, or both?
Hello. So food is a key part of everyone's, events and just life in general, but it's just more about eating, it's about the presentation, the sensory elements, so like the smells, the flavors, which all triggers memories with everyone and our customers. And it also has social aspects, we'll all sit together as that family approach, and it'll create conversations with, say, people you've never had a conversation before, or build those relationships. But so when Belong's activity team and catering team, when we collaborate and work together, it can really enhance the overall experience, and it can really keep customers engaged with food and their surroundings, increase food intake, which obviously benefits well-being and nutrition, which is fantastic. When we see the results, I can't explain it. It's fantastic for everyone. And as well, we have that homely approach again by we all sit together, marvelous meal times. That can be for an event or just a daily meal. Not everything has to be this big fancy. If you just sit down together, take the time together, it could be a slice of cake, it could be a 3-course meal. They are both equally as important. So, and as well,
yeah, and I
sorry,
Charlotte.
I was just going to say, it's the whole community aspect, and it makes us a big family, really.
I love that. It makes you a big family. I think it's important to highlight. I love that you've just raised that, a slice of cake is just as important as, a marvelous mealtime, for example. And we often talk about how activity providers can have that just sit and chat approach. It doesn't always have to be a huge event or an activity. So, Nelco, as the catering manager, what do you see the benefits of working with your activity teams at Belong? Why do you think it matters?
Well, a part of bringing the community together. So we see us not just the family, but we community within the community. So our doors are open for people to come and visit in our bistro. So not just we're not just looking after the customers, we're looking after the wider community, and it's on a pure basic level, it's definitely improve nutrition and hydration, and we can see it. We got a few positive examples we can tell and show, but it's not just the sustenance, not just the nutrition. It's that well-being factor to all of it.
Yeah.
I think we as a human beings, we're very sociable creatures. It's and no man is island on his own, isn't it? So we always like to have somebody around. And what's unique to Belong Chester, we have a generational aspect of the care settings. We have a nursery with our tiny customers, but they're nonetheless very important part of the whole picture. And it's really interesting to see the interaction, that communication, and that aspect that brings to enrich young children's lives and to make everybody else's experience so much better.
Wow, having a nursery on site, how fantastic is that? And I think you've just touched on something there again, Nelco, which is about the food bringing people together. And I also think, and I don't know about you, Charlotte, but there's kind of a reminiscence aspect all around food, whether that's advertising, that's advert songs that we remember, whether that's birthdays, celebrations, or just in general cooking and historic recipes passed down through generations. There's certainly something through the intergenerational practice I suppose you've witnessed at Belong Chester, specifically with having a nursery in your village. Do you want to just maybe share something on that?
Again, it's not just about the food, not about the nutrition. It's about the whole experience. So we never approach it as like there's a meal you have to eat it to survive. It's all about the daily life and bringing together on a pure selfish level, if you wish. The chefs or the staff in the kitchen don't normally get to interact with the customers or see the customers so much. In our case, the satisfaction among the staff having the opportunity to interact with our wider family, if you wish, it's noticeable because they can get to see how positive effect we have on somebody's life. And if you wish, so let's say you go to a normal restaurant, you get perfect meal, you leave your tip, you walk away. Best case scenario, you just tell your friends how nice the meal was, and that's it. In our case, that one piece of cake or one nice cup of tea can make all the difference in somebody's life.
Yeah, that's beautiful, Nelco. And I fully agree with that. Just a cake and a cup, or even a fancy biscuit, a lovely hobnob, always brings a smile to someone's face. Charlotte, can I come to you now, please? What has been the most, as an activity provider, what has been, would you say, the most successful activity-based session that might stick out in your mind that has been used with food or drink?
Straight off the bat, I can instantly think of the Christmas just gone. So we had this huge Christmas party, which was, our customers were invited. It was the outer community, family members. It was open to all. And we had an external entertainer. So we had the singing, but we also had this really huge, giant family buffet style food. So from what I saw, conversations everywhere. There was some at the buffet table. We had customers choosing what they'd like and talk about I remember I used to have this, or I made this for my children, and things like that. And also sharing that with the wider community. So we had customers come in and also go, oh yeah, I remember that. Or, oh really? What was the recipe? It was absolutely a fantastic afternoon. And from what I saw as well, specifically, when we were all sitting together, eating together, because colleagues and customer, we'd eat together, no problem. We're all having a Christmas party. Oh, it was fantastic. The singer and, people who say don't eat as well, everything on that plate was cleared because there was that interaction with other people. There was, the different senses and things like that. It's not just, we'll sit down. Yet it really benefits people in general when you sit down and have that whole community it's fantastic. And that Christmas really stuck out for me, especially, you know, seeing the benefits of the new.
I can kind of visualize being there by your description of it. It sounds phenomenal. And I think you're right. There is something there. Quite often we see or hear activity providers tell us stories of just swapping out a main meal of the day to an afternoon tea and putting cake stands on the table and people being able to choose their food that they want to, you know, to pick that day. And I just want to highlight something here for everyone that's listening and watching as well. We're talking about obviously group settings where we have individuals who come together through parties or events, which is fantastic, you know, the community involved. But I just want to take a minute for them individuals that are, for whatever reason, not wanting to join in a group setting. Maybe they choose to stay in their rooms, or maybe they can't come into a communal area for whatever reason, and how we support them. And through the support service, I just want to share two quick stories about including them individuals, because I think it's really important that we share our knowledge and our experience and best practice around how to include them individuals. So one was a fantastic story about an activity provider who had created picnic baskets and decorated themed trays, so that when meals were delivered to that individual's room, they were also included in the celebration or the event or the national day that was happening. And the picnic basket stands out the most because it was National Picnic Week, and they created this whole finger spread kind of sensory interactive basket and adapted it as well, working with the chef for the food to be able to be digested, because that individual was on a textured diet. And I think the second one that I've heard through our APA group is using technology. So through COVID, they was using the mirroring effect, where the individual had exactly the same cake from Marks and Spencer's that her daughter had, and the same kind of tea, and they were still able to connect through food, but through technology in different parts of the town, because they both lived in the same town apparently. So thank you for sharing and answering them questions. Just before we come to a close, I would like to know, drawing on both your experiences, and if Nelco likes to go first and then Charlotte afterwards, what are your top tips for planning food-based activities? Nelco, coming from the catering team, what are your top tips for planning food-based activities with your activity teams? What would you say to any chefs or catering teams out there?
Know your customer. That's the main thing, because as Charlotte mentioned, we not just invoke past memories, we like to create new memories. So you can't create a memory if you don't please the person you try to impress somehow. So we're very person-centered approach. So we always go with the people preferences, and we like to provide meaningful choices. So we have a number of options they can choose for day-to-day eating, and then we incorporate extra nutrition, extra hydration with the activities, just because it's easiest way to look after people without making it obvious. And so we're not just trying to push people's diets. We look after people on a healthy diet. We keep talking about cakes, but it's not just the cakes, I promise you. So yeah.
Your cakes do have a reputation, Nelco, so I am itching to come and visit Belong Crew to try one of these famous cakes and a lovely cup of coffee in your bistros. Okay. Charlotte, do you have any top tips that you would like to give to activity providers listening for working with your activity teams?
Absolutely. So first things first, as Nelco said, know your customers. You know, it's all about them. Ask their ideas. We love feedback. If it's, say, I wasn't really keen on that, or I wish it, fantastic. You know, it's great to hear, because then you can adapt, and then it can be for more people. It can be more inclusive and things like that. Again, we're very person-centered. It's not about what I think will go down well. It's what our customers would like, and obviously their preferences. And it's all about making sure their voices are heard, you know.
Yeah.
And I would say as well, just a little tip, use an activity calendar with detailed national events, awareness days. They can really inspire ideas. You can take that to, obviously, colleagues. So like, I can go to Nelco and say, oh, this is coming up, what do you think? Or go to the exercise specialist, go to the customers and say, for example, it's Burns night tonight. We have some Scottish customers. So, you know, I asked, what did you used to do? What are your traditions and things like that? And understand those sorts of cultures and background. It's fantastic. So, you know,
it's very person-centered and individually led. I think that's the key. The life story of individuals will help for those that can't or struggle to verbally communicate. And then also, like you said, Charlotte, and I just love that, you know, having their voice, asking them what they want from their activity program and from their catering teams, because at the end of the day, it is all down to the individuals that we support, is it not?
Yeah, 100%.
So I want to just thank you so much for your support and sharing the best practice today, and giving some tips. As short as it is, I'm sure we'll hear much more from you later down the line in the week through NAP Week, and I'm sure people can reach out to you if they need to. But it's been very interesting and very inspiring. Hilary, we would like to come back to you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. That was so lovely. And I do hope you'll join us if we have some questions from our audiences at the end. I hope you'll join us for the Q&A as well. Thank you both. You can really see that you get on well, that you do work well together. That comes across. That really comes across. And I would disagree, Nelco. It's all about the cakes. So thank you for that. That was lovely. Jean, wasn't that lovely to hear those really about the practice? You know, where aren't we as organisations? We put stuff out, we want it to support good practice, but actually when we really hear about that, those relationships.
Yeah, it was a really fabulous session. So thank you very much to Nelco and Charlotte. I particularly enjoyed hearing how food has triggered conversation. And as I was listening, I was thinking, well, it's the same for all of us in our everyday lives. So of course it would be the same for those living in care settings. So fabulous to hear that. And also I think particularly call out Nelco recognising that there's opportunities to enhance food and nutrition intake through activities in a day. So doing it in a subtle and respectful way to enhance those nutritional qualities. So, but yes, Hilary, I'll be behind you in the queue for the cakes, or I'll be elbowing you out of the way. But a really, really great session. And I guess just tying into a little bit of what Charlotte was saying about Burns Night. I said at the start we would have a fun event for all the audience here and NAPA members to practice some of the great hints they've heard today. And I also outlined at the start that as makers of Millac, or the makers of Millac, Lakeland Dairies are an Irish dairy cooperative. So I'm very excited to invite everyone on this call and NAPA's wider membership to celebrate a fabulous St. Patrick's Day with us in March. So we've got plenty of time for some brilliant planning using Nelco and Charlotte's top tips. And our campaign focuses on celebrating the lush green fields of our farmers. You can see the image behind me. And of course, sharing some Irish food and culture. So again, as Natalie and Charlotte and Nelco were talking about, inviting residents to share their memories and experience of Ireland or Irish foods. My colleague Abby, who's behind the scenes here, has worked extensively with colleagues and, of course, the wonderful team at NAPA to create a fabulous resource packed full of recipes, puzzles, and quizzes to really inspire fun, interactive St. Patrick's celebration. The resource that you can see now that Gianna's kindly flicking through is readily available to download from our website. And as a bonus, anyone who downloads it will also get a free roll of piping bags. So an opportunity there to engage residents in preparing cakes and rivaling Nelco in his cake presentation. So, you know, please do get involved. We'd love to support you. Love to hear about how you celebrate and hear about those top tips going into practice. So please don't hesitate to get in touch with us or NAPA for any further information. But yeah, no, really, a really lovely session. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you. It looks so lovely, doesn't it? All those recipes are just mouth-watering. Thank you. That's brilliant. And so let's just take a few minutes, shall we, just to talk about the toolkit. Natalie, do you want to just tell us a little bit about the process of developing the toolkit and what's in it?
Yes, of course. And I must say, I'm feeling quite hungry now. We've just got to know God about these days. And there's Jean sharing Lakeland Dairies green resource for St. Patrick's Day, and I'm just like, oh gosh, I could murder a cake now. Anyhow, we are thrilled with the toolkit's co-creation. I think is the main thing here, and I'm delighted that the members of the APA group have participated in the development of this toolkit, making it advising around the simplicity of people being able to understand it, and also what they would want in their toolkit. So a big shout out to the APA group for their advice. And NAPA will continue to collaborate on the development of professional toolkits for activity providers across the sector. We hope that this toolkit will provide the information that you seek. As you heard from Nelka and Charlotte, providing the top tips, there's plenty of direction that you can share with the teams that you work with, and this vision, as we mentioned before, about the collaborative working approaches across all departments within your service. My particular favourite part of the toolkit is the case study that you'll find on pages 8 and 9, and it's called B is for Breakfast. And if you're looking for a great place to start, this case study really explains how a simple session or gathering of breakfast, which is the most important meal of the day, can actually be quite impacting on the individuals in your service. So it's Jodie and Andy, and they talk about how they provided a welcome and engaging breakfast, and what the results of that collaborative working approach developed. I also think, Hilary, talking about this toolkit, even though we've created it with activity providers and catering teams around the consultation and the APA group and etc., I think it's really important to understand that any toolkits that we provide can be adapted for anyone working in your services. And yeah. I'll give you examples. So if you take this toolkit, you can work with the front of house teams, get them involved to design invitations. Maybe when they're delivering their mail with their post with the individuals they support, maybe get them to hand out the invitations or help design the posters or take bookings. And then the biggest thing for me, I think, is the night teams. So I think your night support teams, they are a key part of a near enough 8-hour period of the day when they can support nutritional and well-being based connections and increase fluid intake throughout the night. Some people, not everyone sleeps from 9 o'clock in the night till 6 o'clock in the morning. Some people are actually awake through night hours, and sometimes supporting them and working with them to provide comfort drinks or increasing calorie intake or fluid intake will really help them individuals. So think about sharing the toolkit beyond your activity providers and your catering teams.
That's a really good point, Natalie. Thank you. And I think there are lots of tips in there about having conversations with the catering team that are pertinent to the activity provider, but also relevant to the care team. And I think that's a really important point that you've made. I remember a few years ago visiting a relative who was in a care home that always liked to have a hot drink in the middle of the night, a milky hot drink in the middle of the night. And the care staff were quite concerned about making that happen because the kitchen would be closed. And so it was very important that there was a conversation with the catering team about how could we get in and get what we needed to make this really hot, lovely, creamy drink for this particular person in the middle of the night. And it sounds like an obvious thing to do, but actually it's those things that get in the way sometimes, isn't it? And it's all about the relationships. If you get the relationships right, as we just saw with Charlotte and Nelko, didn't we? That if the relationship's positive, then actually you can make anything happen. We have got some questions coming in, which is quite exciting. So could we invite all of our guests back to see if they would like to answer some of the questions that are being put to us? hopefully we can all get on the screen here. So the first question, this is a good one. This is from a catering manager, Winston. I currently use Milac products. Where can I find more recipes to incorporate the products into my menu? So somebody else like Nelco that's pleased with the products, Jean. Anything that you'd like to? Where can we find more recipes for the menu or more ideas?
Yeah, but that's great, and thank you to Winston for your question. That's a pleasure to answer. We do have a lot of recipe inspiration in the Irish Party resource that Jana was flicking through earlier, so that's a really good starting point. And in the toolkit that NAPA have developed, we have some additional resources in there. So there's some really gorgeous scrumptious scone recipes, some fortified, some not, with different ideas and twists, very modern takes on those. So those are really good places to start. And of course, we do have a website as well. But happy to get in touch and keep you informed with lots of recipe ideas. But those the resources in the toolkit are a really good place to start. Thank you.
Brilliant, thank you, Jean. And there's another one. Again, this one's from Huey. I would like to show my manager and chef the toolkit. How do I do that? Natalie, any thoughts on that one? I think this is more about the practicality of using the toolkit, perhaps.
So, if you just click on for the toolkit, you'll find it on a dedicated NAP Week webpage. Just scroll down it. If you click on that, it'll open up. And then you can either download it, you can print it off, or you can just print individual pages, like Jean says, with the recipes, if you just want the recipe and you don't want to print off the whole book. It's also really interactive. When it flashes red as you turn the pages, there are links to things. So do click the links. It takes you to loads of other stuff that we have in the toolkit.
Excellent, thank you. Great question. And this one, there's lots of questions. Suki says, I have been cooking for about 14 years now. I get involved with the wellbeing team for big events, but this has inspired me to connect more. I think we're missing a trick here, and sometimes 3 meals a day can get a bit repetitive. Looking forward to the toolkit. Oh, lovely. So that's more of a comment than a question from Suki. Thank you very much for that, Suki. And I think after 14 years, sometimes you think, how do I think up another idea? It must get hard to keep your menus exciting and fresh. So yeah, I hope the toolkit will be of interest. Yeah, it can get repetitive, can't it? I know myself, if I see another jacket potato in the week, I start to get a bit fed up. So we all need a bit of variety, don't we? A bit of variety in our menus, in our diets. And then we've got one here. So this just says group member, so it's an anonymous one. Any tips for building the relationship with the kitchen? I have never really worked with them before. I'm not sure if meetings would be what they want. And I've never held a meeting before. Charlotte and Nelco, do you want to take that one?
Absolutely. Well, just to begin with, have a conversation, have a chat. You know, we're all people at the end of the day. We're all in this together. So the way I kind of had these meetings with Nelco specifically is we just started chatting and getting to know each other first, and then understood what we both wanted, and obviously add that with what the customers wanted, and just created this relationship. And
it's very good if you foodie and you find another foodie. So it's always a common talking point. But it's not just not just kitchen and activities. We actually involve the whole village. So we have the exercise specialist. We have people working in a hair salon, if you wish. They all participate in some way, and we as a organization, we have those short meetings in the mornings. So actually, as many people from all the areas of the operation, we sit down, we share thoughts, we plan the day, and we go away. But even if it's a day that cannot happen for various reasons, we still pass each other walking around the building. So just talk to each other, and
brilliant.
Go for a drink time to time if you wish.
Sorry, say that again now. Can I miss that?
It does help sometimes to sit down with a drink. It could be a cup of tea, it could be later evening, whoever likes whichever.
Absolutely. Yeah. The tipple of choice. Definitely. Thank you both. Natalie, wanted to add to it?
Yes, just to say to the, I'm presuming it's anonymous with it saying group members. So anyone wants to post, you don't always have to put your name. I just want to say that if you've got any questions, we sometimes forget to mention that. But there is also a toolkit that the group member could use and print off or download, which is co-creating a culture of engagement and well-being. And it's a toolkit for APs and managers to work together collaboratively. We developed it with My Home Life England. So please do go and download that. And it will be a great starting point for you then to go and have the conversation with your kitchen manager, because you should always involve your line manager in anything that you do, and they can guide and support you. There might be some training as well that they can offer you in managing meetings.
That's a very good point. Absolutely. Thank you for that. And then we've got this one from Outstanding Care Solutions. Fantastic name. What are your thoughts on fresh, seasonal and local as a base for the menu cycle? Great question. Natalie, start us off with that and then we'll go to Nelco.
I think the seasonal aspect helps again with individuals that are possibly living with dementia. You know, again, when strawberries come out, I mean, there was a great piece that we had in the Jubilee resource about what her late Majesty, the Queen Elizabeth, used to really enjoy. She would only have strawberries, and I remember her chef saying, "God forbid if you brought strawberries out of season." You know, some individuals that we currently support years ago would have grown their own vegetables. They wouldn't really have used supermarkets in the current way. And we know that working with the Sainsbury's Archive and Interference Art, Charlotte will know this as well, being on the APA, that, you know, supermarkets have developed over the years, and quite often individuals would have grown their own. And also, just a plug, with it being NAPA's Year of Connected Communities, it is also really great that you connect with your local suppliers as well, working with the bigger suppliers that can support the demand. But where possible, it's also nice to have some connection with local suppliers as well.
Lovely. Thank you. Anything on the fresh bit, Nelco? Because I think this can be a struggle. Any thoughts on that bit?
It's all about planning and finding the right supplier. So the suppliers we work, we tend to choose the local suppliers. So A, they support us better because they're more responsive, and B, we support the local as well. And always fresh in our case. If you take care looking through our menus, it'll probably be hardly 5% of the stuff that comes frozen or pre-made or something. So we always put emphasis on fresh and local and seasonal. We do get spoiled with being able to buy everything any time of the year, but that doesn't make it the best thing to buy. Just because you can buy strawberries in December doesn't make them the best strawberries. They might just be pretty looking plastic.
Yes, absolutely. Jean, do you want to add anything in terms of the nutritional value aspect and Lakeland's work there and the importance of the added nutrition?
Thank you, Hilary. I've got a lot of feedback. A really great question, and I appreciate it is a challenge we hear quite often from the chef teams that we work with about how do we keep the menus interesting for customers, but also that seasonal element and the fresh element. And as you rightly say, Hilary, how do you bring, particularly in care settings, that element of good hydration and good nutrition? So again, we do look to support care settings with that. Great to hear that feedback coming back today. I've just been writing down some notes to take that away so we can think about that a little bit more and bring that back to NAPA and its members and how we can support that. And keep it interesting. Excuse me. I think Nelco's point about how do we keep it interesting for individuals that we're looking after, so they want to try things, they want to see things. And Charlotte's point that in a different setting, plates are cleared. So some really inspiring ideas there to help us bring that support back. Festive Tipples that Nelco said at the start is a great example from us of a really nutritionally dense drink, just 100 mils, a lot of calories, and importantly protein coming from that drink, which tastes fantastic. So exciting, great. Okay, we'll take that on board.
Great.
Outstanding Care Solutions.
Yeah, that was a great question. Thank you very much for that. And have we got any more questions? Yes, this one's coming in. This one's from Steph. We love our relationship with the catering team. Pleased to hear that, Steph. Not going to lie, it's something we have worked towards, but the stuff we now do is amazing, and it's for the residents at the end of the day. This has been so helpful today. That's really lovely. Thank you, Steph. Another comment. It's really nice to hear that, yes, those relationships don't just happen, do they? They don't just happen overnight. It takes, like you said, just getting to know each other, taking time, talking about what our interests are, and if you're both foodies, that helps. I love that comment. But I think you're right. I think it's important to recognise that, Steph. Thank you. That sometimes it can take a while, but don't be put off. You'll get there, and that relationship will develop and grow. Brilliant. So I think we're probably almost out of time. So I want to say thank you very much to all of our guests for their contributions this afternoon and sharing their experience. It's been great to hear straight from your practice, really, how this works. And thank you as well, Natalie, for your insights too. We have a couple of announcements to make based on what's going to happen next, but also just to make everybody aware that we're going to be working with Lakeland now for the rest of the year. We've got all sorts of things planned, so please do sign up to NAPA News to hear about what's coming next. We've shared some of that work with you today, but we'll also be working together throughout the year on the calendar, and also, of course, on Afternoon Tea Week, which is a lovely campaign that we're going to be running together this year. So and lots Hilary, to look forward to.
Yes, so,
yes, Jean.
Hilary, I was just going to mention in the monthly calendar, we do put a lot of recipes into the monthly calendar as well. So I think it was Winston who asked about recipe inspiration. So do check in with the monthly NAPA calendar as well. Usually 2 or 3 great recipes from obviously unbiased in that as well. So that's another source.
Absolutely. No, thank you for that, Jean. And so for tomorrow's events, please come back. Please join us again. Tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, we have the activity support team here at NAPA that will be available to answer questions about our year of connected communities. Some top tips. We know there's great work happening out there. Come and share your great practice with us and get it out across the airwaves. Yeah, we'd love to see you. And then at 6 o'clock, we are going to be joined by our friends in the States, NAP US, and we're going to be talking about global connections, community connections. How can we share best practice from all over the world, really, internationally, and support each other through the use of tech-based activities and resources. So please join us tomorrow morning and tomorrow evening. And then on Friday, of course, to wrap things up, we've got the disco. So please join us for the disco. If you haven't got your ticket yet, please get it for Disco Tropicana. And I'm hoping that the link to do that will appear in the chat. Fantastic. As I said, we've got all of those free resources. Have a look on the webpage. You'll be able to download all of those resources today and in the chat. And let us know what you think about them. And if it's suddenly, if you read one and you think what we really need is, and it might be something completely different, but that NAPA will be able to help you with it, please drop us a line. Please get in touch with the Activity Support Service if you'd like to talk through anything in those toolkits, in those resources, or if you have a particular question or idea that you would like us to explore. So please do keep in touch. But for now, we're out of time. Thank you all very, very much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you soon. Bye for now. Bye-bye, everybody.